Hey guys, ¿cómo está? Welcome back to the channel. So I received another request to react to why I didn't like the Philippines. Now, most of the videos that I've always seen has always been about people talking about why they like the Philippines and reasons why they enjoy staying in the Philippines and all those sort of things. So I felt this is quite different. I've not seen something like this before. So let's just watch it and see what she has to say. Let's get started.
Alright guys, what up? I'm Kristen, and today I want to talk about why I didn't initially really connect with the Philippines. I'm actually shooting, like in the spirit of full disclosure, I'm actually shooting this from Bali today. I'm in a really awesome...
It's nice.
So it's my last day of 3 months of traveling in Southeast Asia, and I kind of felt like I needed to speak on something. I've been traveling through Asia for the better part of 3 years of my life, or actually more like 4 years. And I've been to every country in Southeast Asia, and during that time I had one that really stuck out as not being my favorite, and that was the Philippines. But everyone I talk to who has been there absolutely loves and adores the Philippines, and so it just had me wondering, what is it about this place that I don't connect with and that everyone else seems to get that I'm not getting. The first time I went to the Philippines was at the end of 2013, and I went by myself, just like I did a few weeks ago when I returned to the Philippines. I traveled by myself, and there were just a lot of things that I didn't feel like I really liked back then. And my friend Gareth said it really well when he said that, as travelers and especially as travel bloggers, we often feel like we're supposed to love everywhere we go. We're supposed to really connect with it, and it's supposed to be just this amazing experience everywhere. We have to be super positive about everything. And when it came to the Philippines, I just didn't have that connection, and I left really not feeling great about it. I flew into Cebu, but I didn't really know where to go, so I didn't see the beautiful parts of it. And then I went to Bohol, and then to Camiguin, Cagayan de Oro, up to Boracay for New Year's, which I actually really liked, and then over to Coron, where I got on a dive boat, and the diving was really amazing, and Coron is beautiful, Palawan is beautiful.
Okay, so why didn't you like it?
After the end of the trip, I wrote down all of these reasons why I didn't like the Philippines and I didn't connect with it, and I never hit publish on that blog post, and I'm so glad that I didn't, because I went back and I read it a couple years later, and I realized that everything I wrote down really was not about the Philippines at all. All of the problems that I had really were not to do with the place. It was where I was when I was there. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually, I was just really in a bad place. And I also found it really lonely, but I think that's because I just wasn't going to the right places, and I also don't think I was putting out this vibe that attracted people. And so I think it all just kind of dominoed, and I ended up having kind of a lonely and not that great experience. And I think it's entirely because of where I was and how I was feeling at the time. And once I realized that, I kind of wanted to go back. These were the things I didn't like. I felt like I was really lonely, but it turned out that part of it was I was traveling with someone for part of it who I just didn't really connect with, and I didn't know how to tell him that I wanted him to sort of go away and that I wanted to be on my own and doing my own thing. So it just took me a really long time to tell him hey, I don't actually want your company anymore. I was just having trouble finding my voice. That's something nowadays I would just immediately be like, hey, this isn't, I don't think we're jiving that well as travel buddies. Why don't I go my way and you go yours? That's something that I've learned to say, but at the time I just didn't have that voice. I didn't have that power to say that, and I think that a lot of people struggle with that, and that's something that comes with confidence and self-love, and that's a whole other video altogether, but it's just something that at the time I needed to develop more. And I also was just basing it on little nitpicky things like, oh, the seats in the bus are too small, or, oh, I don't like that when I buy a ferry ticket I have to pay the departure tax too, and that I have to do this, and that I have to do that. You know, in the past 5.5 years that I've been traveling, I've been to places that are way less organized. And I've been to places where a lot more frustrating things happen. The biggest difference being that the people in the Philippines are so nice and so friendly. It actually makes it a really positive experience traveling there. You know, after having this sort of negative experience in 2013, I realized since that had so much to do with the place that I was emotionally and mentally at the time, it meant that I needed to go back in the place that I am now and see, is this really the Philippines, or is this Kristen not really being one with her environment? And so I went back, and I went to 2 islands that I'd heard great things about and looked really beautiful to me, and that was Siquijor and Siargao. And Siquijor was the first one I went to. I flew into Dumaguete, and the very first thing that happened after flying all night from Indonesia is a local girl I met from Instagram, whose name is Ferna. She came and picked me up at the airport, took me to some really cool stuff, like her favorite local spots all day. We had some delicious food, and it was just pure generosity and friendship from her. And that really set the tone for the rest of my Philippines trip after that. Had an amazing time in Siquijor. Ended up meeting a local there within the first day, who also told me a bunch of really cool stuff, showed me around a few places, helped me take photos, showed me some amazing food that he liked, like kinilaw. Yeah, kinilaw is amazing. Yeah, it just changed things completely to be able to be in a country where so many of the locals speak English so well. But it wasn't only that. It was every time I would get on my motorbike and just drive around, people would just be waving and saying hi, and kids would always be yelling hello, and I just felt like everyone was smiling at me. Everyone was open. I was really welcomed as a guest, and that's something that was probably there last time, and I just didn't even notice it. Yeah, I had an amazing time on Siquijor, the mystical island that so many people are kind of scared to go to because of the witchcraft, but I actually thought that it was really magical, and I loved my experience there. So glad that I went. And then on my flight over to Siargao, I was sitting next to a girl on the plane who ended up being really cool, wanting to take pictures together. And then once I landed, I had yet another amazing time on another beautiful island, and I met a bunch of locals there who were awesome too. And I stayed at an Airbnb that had the cutest puppies and kittens staying there. Everything kind of went wrong on Siargao.
So cute.
That way, I was on a motorbike taxi that got a flat tire. But then I ended up hanging out on the side of the road, and a family came out and gave me a chair to sit on, and then they wanted to take pictures together, and then it actually ended up being this really heartwarming, amazing cultural experience that I wouldn't have had otherwise. Then I ended up having an issue trying to get a motorbike, but another local girl who I met on Instagram came and bought me lunch, first of all, which was really amazing, and I was trying to be like, no, you don't have to do that, but she wanted to. And it just speaks to the generosity, again, of Filipino people that I just totally missed last time. And I'm so glad that I gave another chance to this time. She ended up having a motorbike rental that I was able to take over. So just every time something seemed to go wrong, something was right again. And then sort of the last thing was the last day that I had in the Philippines at the end of this 2-week trip, most recent 2-week trip. I was driving back after flying the drone around a bunch at sunset up at the top tip of Siargao Island. All these people came over, they wanted to see it. It always drew a big crowd. But on my way home, my headlight wasn't working at all, unfortunately. But again, someone came and saved the day. A local guy drove up behind me and just basically lit my way almost the entire way, the 20-kilometer drive. And I think that just speaks to the beauty of the place, how welcoming and kind people are. And this time going to the Philippines, I loved it. That was very thoughtful. And I just felt like I had so much more of a connection to the place and to the people. And I just felt like everyone was so nice to me, and that it was really just so breathtakingly beautiful. I was really impressed, at least on Siquijor and Siargao, which were the only places I went this time, how clean they were. It's all about refilling your water bottles and picking up after yourself and keeping the oceans clean. And They have youth beach cleanup, and I just think that that's so awesome and forward thinking. And in addition to the amazing hospitality, people waving, people saying hi, people giving me a seat to sit on when I'm just kind of like in their front yard without them asking for me to be there. And people just reaching out on social media and saying, hey, I see you're here, I want to show you around. I think that that's all just so beautiful. It's such a nice thing to do and something that really doesn't happen that many other places. So yeah, initially I didn't like the Philippines, but I'm so glad I went back because I found out that it was never really about the Philippines to begin with. It was just about the way that I felt when I was there. I have a feeling that I will keep going back again and again because there's so many beautiful islands over there, so many parts of the Philippines that I haven't explored yet. In fact, I would love to hear from you if you have some favorite places that don't have so many tourists, that people need to visit more, that maybe I would have even more chances of meeting amazing locals. I would love that. Yeah, that was my Philippines experience the second time around. I appreciate you hearing me out.
Personally, I think the reason why she didn't love it the first time was because she wasn't open-minded. Or probably it was during, those early years of her travels where she doesn't know how to, react to a different environment and how to see the positives in everything. I mean, it's okay not to like something, but then you have to look at it from a perspective that is different from where you're coming from. Because if you are to set the standard, I mean, if you want everything to be like where you're coming from, then what is the point of traveling in the first place? I mean, the point of traveling is to see something totally different. I mean, totally different from where you're coming from, something you haven't seen before, have new experiences. That's why to travel, it takes a certain kind of person, you have to be very, very open-minded. You can't be close-minded because then everything you see will obviously annoy you, or you'll be frustrated by everything. You wouldn't like what you're going through and all those sort of things. But I'm glad that she, over the years, she became much more matured and, was ready to see the world in a different way, and she could actually experience what she missed the first time. I mean, the things that was staring at her in the face, but that she couldn't see because she was closed-minded at the time, or probably, like she said, she was going through some stuff at the time. And some people think traveling like this sort of thing that will help you to escape whatever it is you are going through before. It isn't that way. You have to face your problem and go to the root of the problem and solve it. Traveling won't help you to do that. Traveling can only open your eyes, broaden your views, and you become a much more knowledgeable person, and that's what I think traveling is for. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and make sure to let me know your opinion in the comment section below. And I'll see you all later.